I am your host, Justin Bienvenu, of course. I do a little different introduction for change. All right, so if you remember last week, I told you this week's video, very interesting topic and definitely falls under the word mystery. I am, of course, talking about the disappearance, the mysterious disappearance of Michael Rockefeller. One of the, probably, in my opinion, the second biggest mystery of a public figure other than Jimmy Hoffa. Just my opinion. So I will discuss the disappearance of Michael Rockefeller. So the first thing I'm sure some people, because millennials these days they don't know their history, they don't know their people, their public figures of back in the day. Who was Michael Rockefeller? Well, if the name Rockefeller sounds familiar, yes, he is of those Rockefellers. He was the he's a fifth generation member of the Rockefeller family. He was the fourth child of former New York governor and former vice president Nelson Rockefeller. And I believe he was he liked to adventure out and explore, which ultimately resulted in his demise or disappearance, shall we say. So I'm going to um, give you a little dates, and as you know, I'm not professional by any means, so you're going to see the notepad next to me. I apologize, but again, sometimes my memory, even though I just wrote this down, my memory sucks. Hence the reason I wrote it down to begin with. So it is worth noting that on December 19th, see what I mean? On December 19th, 1961, Rockefeller went on an expedition in New Guinea. And that was the day that was the day he went on an expedition in New Guinea. And on November 19th, 1961, that was when he was presumed to be missing, disappeared off the face of the earth. What happened to him? So, back to my usual standards. You know the deal. I'm going to give you a list of scenarios, theories as to what happened to Michael Rockefeller. So before I do that, it's worth noting that he was exploring, I believe, the culture, or he was exploring. He was on a boat with a friend. That's what happened, and it tipped over, and they both fell into the water. The one of the members actually was able to get back into the boat. Rockefeller did not. There's speculation to whether or not he even made it to shore. So there's just a lot of theories as to what happened to him, which I will get into here. So we have one, two, three, four. We have five theories, and then we also have like a side theory as to like what happened to him as well. So let us get into the mysterious disappearance of Michael Rockefeller. First, the first theory is that villagers and tribal elders admit he was killed when he swam to shore. So this theory implies that I'll get into I'll get into my theories afterwards, but I'm just give you a little detail about this one. This one is actually in a book, and the two guys that wrote it, speculate that they had talked to villagers and tribal elders of a tribe, and they actually talked to these people, and they claim that he was killed when he swam to shore. How was he killed? They didn't really speculate that. That perhaps might be in the book, but he was killed when he swam to shore. That's the first theory. The second one, he was eaten by cannibals, aka the Asmat tribes people. The third, he drowned. The fourth, he was eaten by sharks or crocodiles. And the fifth, he lived as a captive. And then, of course, the last one is his mother. There's a theory that states that his mother actually issued a $250,000 reward on proof that he was either dead or alive. So, again, that last one, not necessarily like a theory as to what happened to him, but a theory connecting to proof of anything that happened to him. So with that being said, I will go back to the first theory and give you my thoughts. And again, each theory, I'll get into detail and then my thoughts as to whether or not I believe it could be true. And these are all pretty damn juicy. So let us get started, shall we? So villagers and tribal elders admit he was killed when he swam to shore. Obviously, this is actually in a book. So by that means, yes, it's totally possible. But how can you take the word of, try these tribal people? They could just be telling you like, yeah, we saw a white man and when he came to shore, um, he died. It could have been as simple as that. It could have been detailed. I don't know. I wasn't there. Haven't read the book. Is this possible? I mean, yes, but again, from what I read, and there was two different passages that said he was killed, it didn't say how he was killed. Whether or not they killed him, he was killed when he swam to shore. What does that mean? I think this one's possible, but I need a little more, you know, I need a little more of a general idea as to what that means. Eaten by cannibals. This one, like that. Somebody just came in and I said eaten by cannibals. What am I talking about? So, it is the second theory that Michael Rockefeller was eaten by cannibals. Now, this is a very wide theory. It's a very popular one too. The Asmat tribespeople were actually known to eat people. Uh, if he had swam to shore, or he, was brought to shore because he fell off the boat and he just kind of drifted onto shore, and he met these tribespeople, and they noticed that he was white and he didn't look like them, and they just saw fresh meat. God help him, if he had any chance of surviving. Do I think this one's possible? Absolutely. I mean, it's popular culture, and anytime you think that somebody might have possibly been unfortunately eaten by cannibals, you have to believe that they wouldn't just the first person that came up with this theory wouldn't just throw it out there if it couldn't possibly be true. So unfortunately, I think this one's on the top of my list as to it happening. The third one is that he drowned. Well, I mean, naturally, of course, if anybody falls off a boat, then naturally you're going to assume, hey, maybe they drowned. I'm not buying this one. I don't know whether or not he could swim. That's probably useful here, but I have no knowledge of whether or not he could swim. But I'm gonna say this one's kind of meh. I don't think he drowned. Like I think he had definitely had means of how to survive. And yeah, like there's just way too many more theories that just kind of cancel this one out. So I don't think Michael Rockefeller drowned. The fourth one, he was eaten by a shark or a crocodile. First of all, I love the fact that or crocodile is a possibility. Normally, when you hear about somebody, falling off of a boat or they're stranded in the water, it's always a shark. How many times have you ever heard like or crocodile? Like, oh, okay, that's an option now. So like, okay, do I think he was eaten by a shark or a crocodile? I believe this one more than drowning, so I would put this ahead of drowning. Do I think he was? Does it matter if it was a shark or a crocodile? Either way, he was eaten by something. Whether it was a person, a shark, or a crocodile. Let's go down that route, shall we? Was he eaten by another person, a shark, or a crocodile? I suppose it doesn't really matter. I think this one's possible. Uh, I'm a little more hesitant to say. I think the cannibal one's more has more substance, so I'll go with that one. But I think it's possible that he was eaten by a shark or a crocodile. The the fifth one is that he lived as a captive. Now, there's actually a lot to this. Theories for years have speculated that he lived amongst the tribespeople, that he befriended them, and not only was he not eaten, but it's the exact opposite. He befriended them, they befriended him, they took him in, and he lived amongst them. And there's actually even a deeper theory into this, believe it or not. I actually recently saw this last year in a documentary, and it suggests that Rockefeller fell in love with one of the tribespeople's daughters. I know, tell me, how cliche is this, right? But also, there's actually a photo. They actually showed the photo, and it shows a group of tribespeople on a boat, and amongst the tribespeople is a one white man, and he's helping them. Like, he's got the oar, and he's using that to go ashore. And a lot of people think that this white man amongst these tribespeople is in fact Michael Rockefeller. And I forgot the photo was taken a little bit after he was 64. Forgot to mention that in the beginning. So I think this photo actually surfaced after 1961 and perhaps even after 1964. So that would suggest that perhaps he lived amongst them, and they just embraced him and took him in. I think this one's possible. I think that photo could absolutely be legit, and I think that could, in fact, be Michael Rockefeller. He lived, and he just decided not to go back. The last one, this one's not so much of a theory as it is actually fact. So, for the longest time, it was only speculated that in the 70s, 1978 to be exact, that his mother issued a $250,000 reward for proof on any evidence of whether or not he was dead or alive. And for the longest time, this was speculated. And eventually, because it kept surfacing, it was finally confirmed as a fact. She did, in fact, issue a reward. And unfortunately, we're still talking about it today, and hence the reason I'm talking about it today. So it never happened, and nobody ever got that reward. It's just a bunch of theories. So I'm sure she got a ton of phone calls saying like, "Oh, I know where your son is. I know what happened to your son." So yeah. What do I think happened to Michael Rockefeller? Well, number one, I think he was possibly eaten by cannibals. It's just too crazy to not believe, especially, tribes people. We got the theory. We don't have that theory for nothing, right? I think second, it's possible that he lived as a captive. I know it seems kind of far-fetched. I know it's kind of crazy for me to think that he was eaten before he survived, but you know, third, that he I think third, he was possibly eaten by a shark or a crocodile. Fourth, villagers and tribal elders admit he was killed. Actually, no, you know what? Scratch that. I think the villagers and tribal elders said that he was killed. Maybe they killed him. I think that's third. Sharks and crocodiles eating him is fourth. And then fifth is drowned because that one's just kind of weak, you know, because there's way too much evidence to suggest otherwise. That it's just that he made it out of the water. So, if you know about this story or you're just hearing it for the first time, what are your thoughts? What do you think happened to Michael Rockefeller? Do you think it's one of these theories? Is there another theory that you think might have happened to him? Perhaps that maybe he decided that maybe he wanted to disappear, to get away, because he didn't like the Rockefeller name and everything tied to him. Also a possibility. Thank you for watching this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, I know not a lot of people know about Michael Rockefeller, but it's one of those mysterious disappearances that has always intrigued me since I found out about it a couple years back. So yeah, stay tuned next week for a special episode. And when I mean special, I mean we might cross the half-hour threshold. That's how big this one is. And also because this one's so special, I'm not going to reveal what it is. Actually, I am. Or will I? I should. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to reveal it. Why the hell not? We're going to be talking next week about the Cecil Hotel. That's why I said it's special because there's a lot of shows that are talking about it right now. It's in the news, and also I kind of want people there live when I talk about it. So I'm gonna promote the living crap out of it. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. For those who watch it on the playback, And tune in next week. I really hope you will tune in next week for the special Mystery Unsolved of the Cecil Hotel. Take care.